So,
all right, well, since I know Professor Kshetri here, maybe I'll do a quick introduction. Professor Kshetri is probably, if not #1 in the world, then one of the most respected scholars and practitioners in the area of blockchain technology and cybersecurity. So he has published numerous books. I think by now it's 8 or 9, almost over 150 articles, many of them specifically on the topic of blockchain security. Blockchain technology and cybersecurity. He's been invited on numerous occasions to be not only as a guest speaker and expert witness on the topics, but he even appeared before the Congress, US Congress, with his testimonies. Was it the Congress or the United Nations? I know some of these big, organizations that invited.
Oh, yeah, actually, yeah, I did one time, many times in the United Nations, but one time I did for the House Intelligence Committee, Foreign Intelligence Committee actually. So they wanted to understand how the US Department of State and all this can use this blockchain for the low-income countries, and so I helped them one time.
So yes, Professor Kshetri is the person, the government, the special agencies, the Congress, the United Nations call when they need an expert advice on how to handle these things. And on a personal note, we've been working for many years together. I think it's been, 13 years from me as colleagues in the department. So it's my honor and privilege to call him my colleague and friend. So, but yes, he is a wonderful professor, researcher, mentor, educator, and a writer. And so with this introduction, I guess I'll turn the microphone back to you, Maxim, for your quick setting the stage, so to speak, for the presentation. And I know you have a lot of questions. We'll probably get many more from the audience. And then I know some people will probably send the questions by email, those who cannot attend the live meeting and want to watch the recording. Please.
So yeah, you can see my screen, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, this is just very brief kind of overview. I think it's simple, but if someone has no context and they're watching this, will kind of, yeah, like you said, set the stage. So globally, there's a lot of conflicting opinions. So between one nation to another, like the legality and the status of crypto coins is like it varies greatly. Some countries outright ban it. Some countries kind of try and regulate it. Like they say, okay, we're not going to allow big companies to operate here that deal with crypto, but we're not going to outlaw it. Others embrace it. Others, like El Salvador, actually use it as a currency. So there's a really wide range. There's a lot of different reasons countries might say they want to ban or not ban it. A big example was Turkey. So they have their Turkish lira currency, and it wasn't performing very well. So they kind of attributed some of that damage economically to Bitcoin and to crypto. So they went ahead and outright banned it. But there's a lot of different reasons countries might potentially see harm in it or see benefits. So we see a really wide range around the world. Why crypto? So there's a few benefits. There's independence from a third-party currency. So for example, here in the US, we have the US dollar, so we're comfortable, we control, it's very good for us to have, as a country, our own currency, which we use in trade and global exchanges. However, some countries don't have a currency that's either stable, they don't have a currency of their own, or they don't have one that performs very well. So being able to have a currency which isn't necessarily just using a bigger country's currency, like instead of just relying on the US dollar, they can have independence from that system. So there's also faster speeds and lower fees, so free from inflation. And there's also potentially more transparency from corrupt banks or institutions. And one thing that would be outlined here, or that you can take away from these points, is that mainly third world, maybe poor countries would benefit more so, because like I said, in the United States, we have our own currency. We have like systems which allow for fast speeds and relatively low fees, and the US dollar isn't necessarily that affected, it's not like devastatingly affected by inflation. So like a trend you can make from these points is that some countries tend to benefit more, maybe third world countries, maybe countries with a not stable currency, they could actually see bigger gains than other countries. So that kind of outlines like the categories of what country would even want to adopt it. And then finally, El Salvador. So this is currently the first country and the only country, if I'm not mistaken, to adopt Bitcoin officially. So since 2001, USD has been their official currency. So they have been using the US dollar essentially, relying on it, which was bad. Like, of course, it's better than having like your own country's currency if it just completely collapses. However, the government still wasn't happy. They were unable to control a lot of financial policy. A lot of citizens in parts of the country didn't have access to banking services. So if they wanted to send money, it would be very difficult, very expensive, very time prohibitive. So in June 5th of last year, Bitcoin was adopted as legal tender. And since then, there's been a lot of big changes. The government has begun holding large amounts of cryptocurrency. If I'm not mistaken, it's something like 700, I think nearly 1,000, maybe a little bit more Bitcoins. So they've been buying a large amount and holding a large amount. However, it has been controversial. There have been protests since then. There's a lot of people who are against it. There's people who have enjoyed the change, have seen like more business, maybe more transactions or easier transactions, but it has been widely controversial in El Salvador and across the world. So yeah, that's the end of the presentation. Just some really brief context. And now I guess we'll begin discussion. So I don't know if you have like, we can go into questions, but if you would be able to kind of, I guess, give a really short maybe speech, or is there any more context you'd like to add right off the bat, or should we go straight to questions? Nir?
Okay. So you want me to start, Maxim?
If you're able to, we can go into questions, but if you have
Sure,
like a little bit context, yeah.
Sure, yeah. Thank
Perfect,
you
yeah.
for that. Thank you for the introduction, Vash. And yeah, I mean, I was talking with Maxim several weeks back and just identifying a good, he came up with Bitcoin in El Salvador, which is really a very interesting topic, because it is the only country until now which has Bitcoin as one of the legal tenders, and a lot of things are going on. That one, that Maxim actually covered that very well, the things going on in the country of El Salvador. So yeah, I was talking with a few other people, and the Wharton school in University of Pennsylvania, they have student club, apparently crypto club, and they have invited me to do similar thing on campus after 2 weeks, and we were basically talking with the students about the topic, and so we basically, they like this topic, Bitcoin in El Salvador, and I'm also doing similar thing with the people in the University of Canterbury in New Zealand in May. So because this is one of the topics that many people liked, and so yeah, this is the first time that I'm doing this topic, but I prepare some PowerPoints that I'll show you just to talk what is going on in the country of El Salvador. So basically, this is the topic that the title of the things that I'm doing. Bitcoin is, as Maxim already pointed out, this is centralized cryptocurrency, digital currency, and so it has a lot of benefits, and both pros and cons of this that he already kind of covered most of the important things. So it is decentralized. A current challenge in the country of El Salvador is there is the authoritarian regime, centralized, and this interesting when this decentralized digital currency like Bitcoin meets the centralized authoritarian regime, such as those in Salvador, and kind of it is kind of I would consider it as a gamble, and actually not me, actually many people consider, because it can go both ways and it can work. But many people actually, some people are thinking that it might work well, but a lot of people are thinking that it may not work for the country of El Salvador, given the things that are going on and the way that it is implemented. And so that is the idea here in this short thing that I'm doing. So, okay, he already covered that El Salvador became the first country to accept Bitcoin as a legal tender. And so that was okay, the law was passed in June 2021, actually in a conference in Miami, Florida, US. He gave kind of a recorded speech on June 5, and he has kind of the majority, his party, and it was passed to the super majority vote in a few days' time, and the thing was discussed Congress only for 5 hours, actually, like if Bitcoin should be a legal tender or not. After 5-hour discussion on June 8th, okay, let me see, I have here probably. Okay, June 5 announced that Bitcoin will be a legal tender, and many people in Salvador did not know about that. And the Ministry of Economy presented a draft of the bill June 8th. They discussed for 5 hours, then they passed the ley Bitcoin, which is the Bitcoin law, and the per majority vote. That's what they did. These are other developments, but September 7 is the time that, because I think they need at least 3 months, because they passed the law now, they cannot have the Bitcoin as a legal tender from the next day, so they had to wait a little days time, and so Bitcoin become a legal tender in El Salvador. And El Salvador started buying Bitcoin. They bought Bitcoin close to $21 million day before the Bitcoin became a legal tender, and so they are buying a lot. Actually, until now, the last time, I think this is 1901, maybe not 1800. So they have a total of 1,000. Okay, let me see. I think 1801 is correct. 1,801 Bitcoin. The latest one was on March 20, January 2022, and so that is a lot. And again, one problem with Bitcoin is that there is kind of the price fluctuates a lot. The highest one was something like close to 70,000 last year, and the lowest was something like 32,000, and a lot of variation, more than 100% is variation. And by actually, the country of El Salvador was losing already something like close to 40 million US dollar. Okay, 40 million US dollar is a lot of money for El Salvador. They do not have, they have the budget deficit and a lot of problems that they are facing. And maybe this is a little better now because the Bitcoin a little bit increased compared to that time. This is the background that Bitcoin became a legal tender on September 7, 2021, and after 90 days after the Congress passed the Bitcoin law. So there are for and against. And if we look at the global south, like the countries like El Salvador, and a lot of people talk, this is a good thing. And a lot of people also say this is a bad thing. And so one thing, we call in these business and economists, they call the central periphery model. The central periphery model is everything all over the world. We talk about economic, or mostly economy related things. They are controlled by the centers of economic activity. Okay, if you want to do trade, international business, for example, between, let's say, Nigeria and China, then the Nigerian vendor buying supplies from China, they have to pay in US dollar or in euro because that is the global currency. And so basically, if they have to pay, Nigeria uses Naira, but they have to have US dollar to pay to the Chinese suppliers, which is kind of central model. And if there is any venture capital that they need for any type of business, and a few years back, the entire continent rather of Africa had about 0.5 billion dollar venture capital per year. But if you look at North America is kind of US and Canada and Mexico, I think less than 400 million people, around that, and they had close to $80 billion. So if you need really venture capital or any type of financing anywhere in the world, you have to rely on the Silicon Valley people. They are the only one which provide that venture capital. So this is the center periphery model. And good thing about Bitcoin is that this is a free software. Okay, no country controls that. This is not like US dollar. Actually, when I was writing article for this kind of these press newspaper, sometimes they ask, okay, which country controls Bitcoin? Okay, no one controls Bitcoin because this is a free software. Developers all over the world participate. If you look at any point of time, tens of thousands of these people are connected to the Bitcoin network and they contribute to that. So that's why Nigeria or the US or anywhere in the world, they are in position. So the central periphery model work, and everyone has competitive advantage level field, and the global financial system is West-centric. And in the case of El Salvador, that Maxim already pointed out, from 2001, they are using US dollar as a legal tender, and so they don't have their own currency. El Salvador is not a US state like North Carolina, or even the territory like Puerto Rico. And our Federal Reserve really has no interest in making sure that the El Salvadorian people have enough reserves so that they can run banks and businesses and all that. So that's why maybe, using dollar is a little bit, being a dollarized economy is a little bit challenging thing. So maybe Bitcoin might work for them, and that's what some people say. And the supporters of these are all people who use cryptocurrency Bitcoin, including, I think there is this big company, MicroStrategy, the name, and which buys a lot of this Bitcoin type of business. And the CEO was saying that this is a good thing. And I think, I don't know, I don't follow a lot. Kathy Wood, I think she manages all these investment companies. She was saying this is a good thing, and few other people say this worked for El Salvador. But there are also arguments against that. Again, Maxim already pointed out many things. Again, some of the arguments against Bitcoin is high price and domestic prices if you use Bitcoin. Actually, I read a lot of stories. For example, there was a small vendor who was selling shoes, and she made about $7,000 from September 2021, and she stored her saving in Bitcoin. And then Bitcoin price reduced, and a few months' time, her saving from $7,000 to $4,500. She was doing all possible things that she was doing, but storing her kind of saving in Bitcoin. Unstable prices is probably not good thing for that. And so it is okay for rich people like you and me, many people in the US, middle income people. And so basically, we have some saving and we can save our money in Bitcoin, and that doesn't really affect our things. And so maybe in a few years time it might increase, and if it doesn't, that's okay. And so basically, if you want to store value, if you have a lot of money, that makes sense for you. But a lot of El Salvadorian live on less than $5 a day, many of them couple of dollars a day. For them, they have to make living right now. They earn today and they have to maybe a few dollars saving, and they do that. And so for them it is really bad thing, and unstable domestic prices is bad thing. And so another concern, like one more thing is El Salvador has to depend a lot on these international institutions like the World Bank, International Monetary Fund, and they are mainly kind of controlled by the US actually. So and El Salvador, the source of income for El Salvador, it needs dollar, but US prints the dollar. How it gets dollar? Two possibilities. One thing, El Salvador can export goods and services. It doesn't do that a lot. Possibility, there are a lot of Salvadorians, they work all over the world, and mainly in the US, and they send money back home. That is called the remittances. And remittance is a big source of income for El Salvador. The last time, the latest available data is close to a quarter of the GDP comes from these remittances. And so these remittances are big source of income, and they are mainly going from the US, but they have to pay a lot of things. And so basically, the thing that I wanted to point out here is the remittances and exporting remittances do not make it sufficient to run the country. That's why it is always running budget deficit. And because it is always running deficit, it needs help from International Monetary Fund. But International Monetary Fund and World Bank, they are arguing that do not make Bitcoin as a legal tender. So it matters the country of El Salvador because they don't have sufficient dollar, and they need money from International Monetary Fund. International Monetary Fund hasn't given them money that they committed, because they are asking the country of El Salvador do not adopt Bitcoin as a legal tender, reverse that. And so, and one of the arguments is that this is used as money laundering and terrorist financing. And so in some way that might a little bit, because in 2020, the criminally associated Bitcoin addresses transacted more than 3.5 billion US dollar. So these are all things going on, and Bitcoin facilitates that actually, and that is true to some extent. So, and also Bitcoin is kind of, they call semi-anonymous. That means it is not impossible to track. If the law enforcement has a lot of resources and they are related, track who is using Bitcoin and where it is going, the people are using that for. And there are a lot of these private companies who make their living just doing that tracking, who is using Bitcoin to do what. And so it is not really completely anonymous. Actually, when you look at cryptocurrencies, there are maybe 10,000 different cryptocurrencies, and Bitcoin is the first one, most interesting one, but there are others. Actually, there are some others, some examples are Meheroo, and another is Gcash, which is impossible to track. So basically, law enforcement can that at all, but Bitcoin can be. The only thing is that they need some resources. So the government really doesn't care if we do a couple of $1,000 illegal thing. The government suspects it doesn't invest resources. But if people are really doing serious criminal things, government actually can find that. And so that is criminally associated. And so that's what they say, money laundering, terrorist financing is one thing, and macroeconomy stability. And some people also talk about the advanced consequences on the, because Bitcoin uses a lot of energy, and so that is bad for the environment. That is another argument. I'm coming to that later. And so, and also other concerns are that they developed a Chivo wallet, basically just to give money to everyone, and then the Chivo wallet developed by okay, the problem is that is authoritarian regime. Authoritarian regimes do not have to be transparent, and they do not know, no one really knows who developed this, how that functions, and it is all kind of secret. The Chivo wallet, that is what every El Salvadorian is using to transact in Bitcoin, or at least they get $30 equivalent if they open Chivo wallet. And so there are a lot of security and privacy concerns, and I'll talk about that later. And so this guy has written an article in the Foreign Policy magazine in December. If you do not know, Foreign Policy, very prestigious, in that everyone in the world writes on that one, reads that rather. I published one long ago in 2005, and the only other people publishing will be Barack Obama and those type of people, actually, you know, like academic from, for example, where I work, and that type of people do not even get any time, basically, that type of thing. Luckily, I published one. So basically, David Gerard in that Foreign Policy magazine is saying 6.5 million El Salvadorians will be the real victim. So this is that side of the argument. And okay, let's go back to the advanced consequences on the environment. It has some kind of the argument in some way makes sense. This is the energy consumed by Bitcoin, and I was just attracted by one of the research centers in Cambridge. And so this is in terawatt hour. If you do not know terawatt hour, this is 190 kilowatt hour. And if you do not know kilowatt hour, apparently every day we need about, in the US, we need about need about 24 kilowatt hour to run everything. And actually terawatt hour, and this is 103.7, that is in the 2021 in terawatt hour. And so if you do not have idea, actually every year they compare with countries, and long ago when it was this time, maybe smaller countries, and the latest number, the Cambridge University Research Center compare with Ukraine and Norway. Actually, this is more consumed by the entire country of Ukraine or Norway, and Ukraine pre-war Ukraine. Let's make it clear. And I don't know, maybe they might be consuming less energy now. I have no idea. But so this is more energy.
Wow.
Ukraine that they consume Bitcoin network.
Wow.
Did you want to say something, Bas?
No, I'm just impressed by the number and then also the trend. So if it continues, then, well, today it's the size of Ukraine. So tomorrow, will it be what, like as much as the entire United States or China? I mean, this is
not really. It may not reach that. And I'll go more on that one. So basically, you know, the Bitcoin has a cap. You cannot mine more than 21 million Bitcoin, and around 18 to 19 million has already been mined. So many people do not understand the detail. And actually, I have been to a few of these blockchain conferences. If you complain this, you may not survive. Actually, those Bitcoin enthusiasts really beat you. Basically, you may not be back home if you talk Bitcoin is really energy consuming. They do not even like this objective data. Other people say that this Bitcoin is a thing that is damaging the entire. A little bit more context here. So right now, already 18 to 19 million is mined already, and so the cap is 21, and so they cannot mine more. So basically, it works is you have to do a lot of activities in Bitcoin. Mining takes the most Bitcoin. So people do not give you the context when they talk about this one. So mining Bitcoin is a lot of energy. Then it is already mined Bitcoin, and I'm transferring my Bitcoin from my account to your account. The energy consumption is not that good. So the thing is already 19 million mined and remaining 2. And so we are hoping that this will not increase that much, and that's what I'm hoping. And mining one Bitcoin every year becoming more and more difficult because more and more computer competing. And so one reason is, you know, right now, the last time I was checking, at any point of time, more than tens of thousands of computers are connected, they are competing, and the data has to flow every computer. They have to do very kind of computing intensive calculation to solve a puzzle, and so and a lot of them compete, and that's why the Bitcoin network becomes bigger. That consumes more energy, but maybe not mining opportunities anymore. Then Bitcoin mined, and all we need to do is use Bitcoin. For example, transfer my Bitcoin from my account to your account, and that doesn't consume Bitcoin. So this is the energy consumed by one Bitcoin energy. So okay, so is that good or bad? Depends on a lot of things. And I think a lot of people, you might have heard of doing that NFT, non-fungible. A lot of are based on another network, Ethereum network, that is the second biggest after Bitcoin. And my baby watch some of these shows, like me fell on to Justin Bieber to Paris Hilton. Everyone has this kind of NFT that someone gave them. Actually, they did not buy them, by the way, if you do not want to understand it. So every Ethereum transaction, the data conservative estimate I was finding is 35 kilowatt hour, one NFT. And if you do not know 35 kilowatt hour that is needed for one NFT, and just 35. That is the lowest amount that I found for energy consumption. That is equivalent to, okay, some people actually say that it might be up to 300 kilowatt hour. This guy who lives in the UK, his calculations, my expertise is not doing this calculation, about how much energy consumes. So you are saying as much as 300 kilowatt hour. So if it is 300 kilowatt hour, that is equivalent for the country of one person in the country of South Sudan for more than 9,000 days of electricity supply, just to do one NFT. The entire thing about one NFT. But if the non-fungible token that is mainly monkeys cartoon that you and I can download and own that in our computer. So doing that, again, the highest energy consumption is the minting of NFT, and someone already minted. The company already minted the NFT. Transfer that NFT from their account to your account doesn't consume that much energy. Okay, so basically, so it depends. When they talk a lot about energy consumption, you have to ask. So okay, what phase we are talking about? Let's energy consumption type of stages transactions, like transferring from one account to another account, or just minting the first time. So okay, then is that good or bad?
It seems like we lost our guest speaker. Nir, if you can hear me, it seems like your sound has disappeared. One of your cameras has stopped. Nir, it seems like the camera with the sound stopped. Just a second, trying to see. Nir, if you can hear me, the camera that was giving us the sound has stopped, so we can still see you from the second camera, but there is no sound for some reason. Oh, now we can hear you. Yeah, it seems like one of the cameras for some reason got disconnected.
Yeah, sorry, because my computer, this is my personal one, another is the university computer. My university computer always like that actually.
Maybe
so, okay.
It's mining some bitcoins and it just
yeah, I don't know, they might be doing that. Yeah, that's what they do. Cryptojacking is another thing, and using your computer to mine Bitcoin. So it is still connecting. So basically, the idea here is that depends if you are doing good thing or bad thing, and just transferring one Bitcoin or Ethereum, or that doesn't take that much energy. And if you are really doing things that you value, like some people are climate activists, and so they think that Maxim pointed out in the beginning. So if you look at the first Bitcoin, they call the first block Genesis block, where the first Bitcoin is mined. The guy or girl or group of people, whoever, we don't know, Satoshi Nakamoto, and they wrote that this is on the brink of second support, whatever, in the financial crisis, second okay, basically the thing that time is, all these governments were misusing our money that time. They were giving money to the General Motor and all these insurance companies, big insurance companies, and they were using taxpayer money to go to vacation. The executive salary was increasing a lot, and the governments were really mismanaging our money. And so that is the idea behind Bitcoin. You and I should be able to manage our money ourselves. This corrupt government should not do that. That is the idea that all this Bitcoin started in 2009. And so basically it depends. And so the guy, there was a climate activist. I read his interview. I read his interview in the last climate summit. One second. The last climate summit in Glasgow, and what he was saying is, okay, he's a climate activist, but he uses Bitcoin. The reason is, as long as this Bitcoin helps me to fight against this corruption that central banks are doing in mismanaging our money or government, I justify that. So basically, energy. Okay, one more thing about energy consumption. So it is taking a little bit time about the energy thing. One more thing about energy consumption is that we have these in the US, we have these always on devices, like our devices, and very rarely people turn off their television and computer, and they consume energy that is equivalent to, that makes it possible to run 12 Bitcoin networks. Okay, so basically, we are wasting that anyways, and a lot of energy is wasted in the US in distributing energy. So that is another way to think about that. We are wasting a lot of energy anyways, and why not to use a little bit more energy in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency so that we can do good things. So that is another way to think about.
One more argument really quickly, if I could add, that I hear
Sure.
about energy and potentially waste energy is in renewable energy sources. So for example, solar farms or wind farms. One big problem is while they're running, while the sun is shining, while the wind is blowing, they can actually generate too much energy. And then once the wind stops or once the sun stops, then we need energy from another third-party source. So they say it's very difficult to store large amounts of energy. So we can like pump water up a hill, but we don't really have batteries or anything. So it's like just really inconvenient to store excess energy. So they say, for example, we can invest in additional or companies, people who operate these solar panels or wind farms, they can actually invest in expanding the renewable energy because Bitcoin basically allows for an avenue to divert that extra energy and generate profits for the company. So instead of maybe letting the energy go to waste or trying to figure out expensive ways to somehow capture the energy and store it, they could actually dedicate it towards mining or towards running these Bitcoin nodes and then generating more profits for the company and then expanding further so we can move away. And because if energy is completely renewable, then there's no really environmental impact. So it would be a kind of a clean way to do all the mining operations.
Okay, yeah, that is, one second. That is a great point, Maxim. So I have kind of written in one of the things 5 considerations when you make decisions to use or not to use Bitcoin. So that is one of the things, and using renewable energy. And so basically, this is unlike other economic activities. Other economic activities, you have to locate where the source of energy is. So basically, you cannot really bring energy from Russia and do that thing here. Like do economic activities here in the US. But actually, I have a colleague, Elena, in International Monetary Fund. She is from Russia, and we are working on a lot of paper together we publish. And so she was giving example in Siberia, for example, before, and they are using this. There is excess energy, and the energy cost is 0.001 per kilowatt hour, and basically people are doing side business. You kind of do mine Bitcoin, and there is extra heat produced, and extra heat is used to grow chicken. So basically chicken need extra heat apparently. So that, and renewable energy that will be wasted anyways. Like actually in China currently banned all cryptocurrency things, and actually it started from banning Bitcoin mining in June of 2021. Then all cryptocurrency mining is banned. But until it was banned in June 2021, a lot of those Chinese Bitcoin mining operations they accounted for 70 to 80% in the world, and they did in those hilly areas, mountainous areas like I think Sichuan and those Xinjiang, and so those those provinces have a lot of extra hydropower during the wet season, not throughout the year. During the wet season, go there and mine Bitcoin. So basically, that's what using renewable energy or energy will be wasted anyways. And so Bitcoin mining is one activity that we don't really have to perform in one location. You can mine anywhere in the world using excess energy. That is one thing. And so, okay, again, can you justify the Bitcoin thing that you are doing? As long as you are using energy, which will be wasted anyways, and that it can be justified. If you are using for doing good thing.
Yeah, I was in Ukraine this winter and visited a friend of mine, and he had an interesting setup in his house. So they use electricity for heating. And so what he does for winter, he has a Bitcoin farm inside his house. And then he has fans that actually blow the warm air from those servers or video cards.
It's not even fans, I think.
And he heats his house this way.
Right.
So he says it wouldn't work in the summer because in the summer it would be just too much heat. But in the winter, basically, that's what he uses for the house heating. So in a way, he gets the Bitcoin mining for free in winter.
Right. Yeah. So I'll just give some statistics. Maxim wants to say something, but and we don't know really the exact estimate because it is difficult to know because people do not tell you what type of energy they are using all over the world when they are mining Bitcoin. The estimate was around 3/4 of all Bitcoin mined using renewable sources of energy few years back, like 2019 or something. Right now, the estimate is around 25% because China kicked out all these things, and many of them are in New York State right now. And New York State recently passed, I think it was passed by whatever the state Senate passed the bill, and so basically they ban the proof of work, we call the kind of the algorithm, kind of the consensus mechanism, and that type of is pretty much, I think it is being banned in the state of New York because all of the Chinese operators are selling their cheap equipment all over the world in Siberia, in New York, and that's what they are doing. But 75% and it reduced to around, I think 25 or some percentage is the one they use renewable energy right now. So okay, that is one of the things if you justify our activities. Oh, you want to do something, Maxim?
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I think it wasn't even necessarily air pumping. If we're talking about the same guy who's using Bitcoin to heat the house, I think he had it connected to the like radiator actually. It was like the liquid was circulating through the house, but that's just a side note.
Oh, so it was liquid cooled, not air cooled, but still same idea.
Okay. So heating the house during the winter, saving, I guess, energy costs because you don't have to heat. I guess I have a few questions. I don't know if you're continuing with the presentation.
So there was one question at the very beginning that I would like to ask, maybe legal tender. So in the very beginning, Professor here said about the Bitcoin becoming the legal tender. What exactly does it mean? Because I can use Bitcoin, for example, in the United States, like in some restaurants, I can buy a cup of coffee. So, but in the United States, it's not legal tender. So what exactly legal tender in this context means? Legally speaking, so to speak.
Right. Legal tender means if you go anywhere here in the US, for example, if you pay in euro, they cannot accept euro or the Russian ruble or the Chinese renminbi. They have to accept in dollar, right? The government dollar, and they cannot say that, no, I don't accept in dollar, and you pay me in a lot of Indian stores here. If I want to pay with credit card, and like a lot of stores accept here, but if you go to these foreign stores like to buy $5 food, they say, oh, minimum $10 you need. And we also charge a 3% commission for doing that credit card. So they say that we don't accept American Express. No, they can't say that. When Bitcoin is a legal tender, legally you are obligated to accept that when I offer that as a payment. Okay, so that's the thing.
And there was another question also in the beginning. So when you talked about the energy consumption for mining Bitcoin, and you said since almost all Bitcoins have been mined, the energy the energy consumption will stop. But how about other 10,000 currencies that you mentioned? Do all of them also require mining? And if so, how much energy consumption for those other currencies? How does it compare to the energy consumption for Bitcoin?
Right. Actually, they call the proof of work, and proof of work means maybe I'll quickly show you the thing how the proof of work works. If I find my another presentation. Okay.
Our last meeting was actually about proof of work and proof of stake, so it's a relevant topic right now. Yeah.
It's a different issue. Okay.
Yeah, the meaning of proof of Bitcoin network, and I make any changes on my computer, like on the transaction, then the changes will go to all 10,000 computers, and all of them have to do computation to be recorded in a new block. And they call the block validator. And whoever solves the puzzle, that person becomes the validator and will be rewarded with Bitcoin. But all 10,000, maybe 10,000 I'm giving, because there are, of course, hundreds of minimum tens of thousands of devices will be connected at any point of time on the Bitcoin network. So all of them compete and validate the someone comes with a puzzle. Whoever comes first, that will be the block validator. New block validator will be rewarded. But that is called proof of work. And there is another other kind of consensus mechanism, proof of stake. And proof of stake means, all 10,000 do not have to complete a validation. Maybe we do election, or like whatever we use, and we have a only limited number of people who validate the blocks, new blocks, maybe 10, 10 depends on how much money they invested, or depends on election. So basically the difference is electing our president directly versus, so we elect the representative in other countries, and they elect the prime minister or whatever in other countries. That is the difference. So in that case, there will be only 5 or 6 nodes which validate the new blocks. In that case, only 6 will be validating. All do not compete, and that is less energy intensive, and most of them are less energy intensive. Like again, if you go to the NFT, and if you look at the business standpoint, non-fungible tokens have really a lot of applications in the future. And there are some companies, they say that non-fungible token, Ethereum, the second biggest blockchain network, is proof of work, just like Bitcoin until now. And maybe they are thinking of might change sometime, but others use proof of stake, and they use much less energy. And there is one off, which is a non-fungible token, one off. That is one of the platforms which works with a lot of music companies to create non-fungible tokens for music. And so some of them argue that creating one fungible token is equivalent to just doing one Google search, not a lot of energy, because they don't have to compete all the thousands of devices in the block validation. So proof of stake, many of them are that. And okay, if you look at the idea of blockchain, decentralized thing, and all of us will govern the thing, and not centralized, few people make decision. Again, if you talk with these hardcore blockchain people, they don't consider this proof of stake thing as any blockchain. There are a lot of these other things, like what, and one of is based on flow blockchain, for example, that okay, different blockchain, but the problem is they are not really blockchain. That's what some people think, okay? Because not everyone can participate in the decision and governance and all that type of thing. Many of them are basically less energy intensive. They don't use that much energy compared to Bitcoin and Ethereum. But again, they do not function completely in the completely decentralized manner like Bitcoin functions. So that's the thing.
We have a few more questions here. I have one, and then there's one in chat. I'll ask this one quickly, and then before we go to it. So, I was just wondering, we were talking about what's one of the big disadvantages of using a cryptocurrency for a country like El Salvador, which might not have a lot of money to fall back on, because it's so unstable. So I was wondering, would it be possible just to use like a stable coin, because they have those cryptocurrencies which like don't fluctuate in price and are designed to remain at constant value. So would it be possible to just use one of those as your country's currency and kind of eliminate the problem of big fluctuations, or is there like other intricacies that would make something like that impossible?
Yeah, I think if we just want to address the problem, the like unstable price, and that might be one solution. But again, the problem with that could be and they do not have all the features of, so basically if they say they use Bitcoin and everyone is familiar about that, and they might have more support, and so everyone knows what they are doing. But this new type of new types of things are not as established as Bitcoin, and they might have other problems. You may not find a lot of companies developing solutions for you because the country of El Salvador cannot develop its own solution. Basically, they have these companies from all over the world helping them to develop that. Helping means really there is a company based in New York here. Actually, a lot of companies are actually registered in one of the tax seven islands like the Cayman Island and those places, and so basically they are helping them, and there may not be a lot of support, and so it may not be that popular, but that may be another solution if you just want to get rid of the problem of problem of the high situation type of thing, if you want to address only that problem.
I see. So this is a question from chat. How does the energy consumption for Bitcoin compare to the energy consumption of something like Microsoft servers, just another big company? And also, has any company set a gold standard for clean energy to power these servers? And if I could actually add something else, do you know like how does it compare to the actual like current financial system? Like I know it's hard to quantify, but like I'm sure the current financial system in banking also uses a lot of energy. So is there like maybe a comparison or yeah.
Right, I have exact answer for that, Maxim. And so basically, the Bitcoin people, if you talk with the supporter proponents of Bitcoin, they say that the Bitcoin energy consumption is less than half of the energy that is currently consumed by the current financial system. So that's what they say, much less compared to the current financial system. So. With these Microsoft type of thing, and I'm sure their data center long ago, 7 years ago, when I was writing an article. Okay, so I can give you the percentage. Right now, the Bitcoin network consumption 0.6% of total energy consumption all over the world. And long ago in 2015, 2016, the percentage for these cloud centers that are used by these big companies to store their data. So I'm sure these centers consume probably energy than Bitcoin. But again, with these the people who oppose Bitcoin, they might say that these mainstream financial services are serving billions of people all over the world, and Bitcoin is only, even in the US, we don't know all this which cryptocurrency, but only 16% of people currently transact in some type of cryptocurrency. On the other hand, 90% of people at least may have access to this. So that is probably depending again these mainstream financial. But again, your answer is I'm sure it is more than the Bitcoin network consumes less than the data center, and it is less than half of what the current financial systems, banks, and all those all over the world use.
Also, if I can add to the second part of the question, like, is there any company with a gold standard for clean energy? If I'm not mistaken, Google, I think they use exclusively renewable energy for the servers, and they make the claim that they're carbon neutral. So I don't know if that's just marketing, but I think they actually have a pretty decent environmental standing. So I don't know if they're the gold standard maybe, but I think they actually do try and address a lot of environmental concerns with their servers and the cloud.
Right, that is a great point, Maxim. They might have, but the problem with all these claims is that is really difficult to validate. So they say that if you talk with all these big companies, they are saying they are doing the most sustainable things in the world. And again, if you look at like all these, I was giving presentation a few days ago, another one, and all these people in the Democratic Republic of Congo, 6-year-old children will be mining cobalt that you and I and everyone uses in the cell phone and these computers, and that cobalt is being used by Tesla car or the Apple company or this Google or Dell Google's company. Actually, Google's parent company Alphabet is facing a lawsuit from these 15 people in the Democratic Republic of Congo, 6-year, 9-year-old children who were injured. Some of them died, and they are arguing that cobalt is coming to them. I'm talking another thing because that is socially responsible. And the example you are giving is environmentally responsible action. So there is really no way to verify that. But if you talk with all the companies, they might claim we are carbon neutral, or we are actually generating more this kind of energy than we are consuming. They say that. So again, the only problem is difficult to validate, and maybe Google might be better than other companies. I haven't gone to that detail. Actually, I'm not aware of that, but I'm sure all these data centers use a lot of energy.
Another kind of theory I have with that is I think one of the reasons people might demonize crypto's energy consumption so much more than something like the financial system is just because it's so much easier to quantify. Like in crypto, you know, like the hash rate, you know how much energy it takes. It's very easy to track the total energy consumption. So it's really easy just to find the number, like how much we use, and it's
Exactly. So we verify on chain what is going on. But if
mhm.
there is anything that takes place in these kind of the things which are not blockchain, you know, so
Yeah,
blockchain,
yeah.
that's what we call trustless. We don't really have to trust one. We can verify our things, and so that's why we like the trustless system. But when you have to trust on, okay, so basically trust me what I am saying, and if people say that, you don't really trust them, right? Because they haven't really done any trustworthy things in the past. So basically the problem is that unlike in Bitcoin, in this completely decentralized type of blockchain systems where everyone can verify what is going on, we cannot do the same thing in this outside blockchain type of thing. So
Mhm.
basically that's the thing, being able to verify the claim or not, that is the main challenge here.
Yeah, yeah. It's very difficult to say how much we spend like carbon or energy for the bank system, but it's very easy to do for
Right,
Bitcoin. So
exactly.
people just say, yeah, Bitcoin's way more. But I think if we did the research, it might even be less, like you said. Yeah.
Right,
Mhm.
just to Maxim's point, and actually he pointed out the hash rate type of thing that basically allows us to verify exact amount of energy that is consumed, anyone on the same number. But the only difficulty is, okay, so what part of the energy is renewable versus what part is not renewable? That is a little bit difficult thing, because we know the amount of energy, but we don't know the renewable or
Mhm.
non-renewable. But okay, in the future, if more and more renewable energy is used, and the problem, many of the criticism that we are saying can be solved. It's only. I have a few more. So, okay, what happened in El Salvador? I'll summarize in a few minutes. Then maybe if you like to do another one in the future, and we can do that. So basically, the result in El Salvador already more than 6 months. September of 7th of September 2021. This is April, and I basically looked at all the things that if you talk with the president and the government of El Salvador, they wanted to achieve three things. One thing is reducing the remittance cost, and El Salvador currently gets close to 6 billion with B US dollar remittances from all over the world, and remittances, sending back money home, is very expensive. Actually, people pay 10-15% because if you send from this banking system using Swift type of system, or just use money this kind of remittances companies like those Western
Western
Union type of companies.
Western
And
Union,
so
yeah.
right, and El Salvador spends about 400 million just paying these things, out of 6 billion. That is a lot of money. And the president was saying we can do with zero. So that is not necessarily true. Actually, sending remittances by Bitcoin, many people did calculation that might take 4 times as much as sending money by other options. Actually, there is one Tigo money already in many parts of El Salvador that is almost free. So why that is the thing? Just transferring Bitcoin from one wallet to another wallet, the fee is around a couple of dollars probably, and it could be up to $60-70 sometimes on how much activities. The main problem is, okay, the El Salvadorian people are here in the US, and there are about, I think, 10 ATMs here in the US. The El Salvador government started in the main cities where work. But they don't money in Bitcoin. In US, they make money in dollar. First, they have to change their dollar to Bitcoin, and that is not easy. So they go to these exchanges like here they go to Coinbase. That is the most popular. If you use Coinbase, and depending on where you get your use it cash, or you get your money from the bank, or from other sources, you pay a lot, actually $2 to $4 or even $5 for sending $200, and then after that you have to pay the kind of the bid and ask difference, and then after that you have to basically transfer your money from whatever you use Coinbase to the Chivo wallet, and so then people have to withdraw the money, and so basically that is the thing. And so basically until now only 2% of the remittances actually they get in Bitcoin in El Salvador. That hasn't changed. Okay, so basically Bitcoin has no effect at all in increasing remittance, number one. And number two, they were saying they will have more financial inclusion, because only 30% is El Salvadorans currently have account with a financial institution, 70% do not. So I can quickly show you one that one. uh, and they say that if you talk with this guy, the president, he tweets regularly about the achievement, and so he gives this example. So, okay, currently there are 4 million downloads. 4 million is, if you consider the El Salvador country of 6.5 million people, as in October. In 1 month, there were 3 million downloads. That is more than, okay, this is 46% of the El Salvador population, but only 30% have bank account, already more than bank in 1 month. That's what he said. But okay, then looking at that, right now there is really no one uses Bitcoin, and 0.01% of what the bank things, and maybe 10% of businesses have ever accepted Bitcoin. So, but many people download it, and download doesn't really mean they use it. And the thing is that they download, and because the reason they are downloading is they are giving $30 free money. And if anyone is giving me $30 free money, and I'm making $2 a day, and someone is paying me 4 or 5 months equivalent of wages in free money, then I download that. And so that's what they think many people did that. And so they download it, they got their $30 Bitcoin and cashed the $30 and put that in dollar. Many people did that. That's what they say, because just looking at the transaction, no one is really using that. And that is, so basically my is financial inclusion, there is no effect. And third reason thing is these operations they have all over the world, investors, the Bitcoin investors all El Salvador to invest, and that's what they were saying. But they did a lot of study, including one survey I found from the financial.
Nir, it looks like we lost you again. Nir, it looks like we lost your sound again.
Sorry.
Yeah, we hear you now. We hear you now.
Okay. Yes, I don't know where I did. Let me finish that. Basically, the final point is they are selling $1 billion bond. You can invest in dollar, you can invest in Bitcoin, or you can invest in another cryptocurrency, Tether, and that is from one of the companies which was fined by New York State and also our federal government for doing illegal things here. And the only companies that are currently attracting are these illegal companies. As a US people, you, I, and Maxim and other people, if you are from the US, you cannot invest because US law makes it illegal to invest in those companies because they have been banned here for doing illegal things, and that's what they were doing in the. So the only companies they are investing are these that bad companies. So that is the thing. Okay, a final thing probably I want to make, and so they had planned to mine Bitcoin using volcano energy. That's what they say. So using volcano energy started in September 29, 2021. In 4-day time, the country of El Salvador mined a lot of Bitcoin. That is equivalent to $269. And to mine $269 of Bitcoin, they spend $4,500 equivalent of energy. So that is the story about Bitcoin. I'll just stop here. Maybe we might be able to do more things in the future. Anything about crypto, just let me know, and we'll just stop here, okay, for today. And if there is any question, I'll be happy to take a few ones.
No, that was perfect. I think, I don't know.
Very interesting.
Were you going to say something?
No, I was just saying that this is a very interesting presentation. I've attended quite a few, and everybody talks about, invest or not invest in Bitcoin and things like that. But here you guys looked at a more sort of next level of complexity. So much more interesting, how it works at the government level, at the country level, pros and cons. Very insightful. Thank you so much.
Right, yeah. So I think the more important thing here is to focus more on blockchain and cryptocurrency in general, not specific thing on Bitcoin, and that makes it more interesting, the policy and everything, and developing applications, changing people's lives. And so blockchain is what people have to focus rather than the specific type of cryptocurrency. Because again, another problem is that there are Bitcoin whales, and they own 100 people own about up to 40% of Bitcoin, and they manipulate a lot of things that you and I do not have the same level playing field if you start Bitcoin thing now, and that is another problem. So blockchain as a whole has a lot of very interesting characteristics, and it can solve a lot of problems in the world at a higher level. That's what I think personally.
Very true. Very true. Oh, interesting. Lots to think. So thank you so much. Maxim, any concluding remarks?
Yeah, maybe I think, yeah, if you're interested, maybe in a future meeting, we can work together again and maybe come up with a new topic and have another meeting where you get speaker. That would be perfect.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yes.
Sure.
All right. Well, have a nice weekend, everyone. Thank you so much, Nir, for your valuable time and sharing your insights. And thank you, everyone, for participating.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. See you soon in the future again in another.
Thank you.
Thank you.